Elma has only been a heavy knight for 1 day, and somehow he's already gone from level 1 to level 8. The class everyone called useless is working almost exactly the way he remembers from the game. Weak monsters can't even break through his defense. Groups of enemies are practically giving him free experience. And for the first time since his own father threw him away, Elma is beginning to believe that everything might actually work out. But then, something appears behind him. A monster twice his level. Fast enough to disappear from sight. Strong enough to break through his defense. And carrying a poison that could kill him even if he survives the battle. For the first time since recovering the memories of his previous life, Elma is facing an enemy his usual trick won't work against. But while Aruz sees a monster they should run from, Elma sees something completely different. A familiar enemy. A predictable set of abilities. And most importantly, a strategy that might allow a level 8 heavy knight to defeat a level 16 monster. The enormous creature slowly crawls out from between the trees. It looks like a twisted combination of a spider and an ape, with long limbs built for sudden bursts of speed. Aruz immediately freezes. He knows enough about monsters to understand that something this powerful should not be wandering around a beginner area. Elma quickly checks its status, and the numbers confirm the problem. The monster is an Ariandype, around level 16. Elma is only level 8. That alone is dangerous, but its skills make the situation much worse. The creature can hide its movement, allowing it to approach without being noticed. It can inflict poison that slows its target, and it possesses a powerful Flaming Claw attack capable of dealing far more damage than the Rana Elma fought earlier. That's a serious problem. Until now, Elma has been using his enormous defense to punish enemies for attacking him. The strategy is simple. If an enemy's attack isn't powerful enough to break through his defense, his counter skill returns damage based on Elma's own defensive strength. That's why the Rana were so easy. They weren't strong enough to hurt him. So every time they attacked, they basically defeated themselves. But the Ariandype is completely different. His attack power is high enough to break through Elma's defense. Which means if he simply stands there and tries the same strategy, his counter might not activate at all. And one clean flaming attack could finish the fight immediately. Aruz doesn't know the exact mechanics, but he understands enough to know they should leave. In fact, he believes this situation is partly his fault. The monster followed them because of him. So even though his entire body is shaking, Aruz pulls out his weapon and tells Elma to escape. He'll stay behind and distract it. He's brave, but Elma can immediately tell what would happen. Aruz wouldn't last long enough for him to escape anyway. So instead of running, Elma asks him to move back. Aruz thinks he's completely lost his mind. They aren't facing another weak frog. This is a monster that experienced beginners would avoid. And Elma has barely started fighting. But that's exactly what makes the difference between them. Aruz sees a living monster. Elma sees something he once fought inside Magic World. He remembers how the Ariandype moves. He remembers what its special abilities cost. He remembers its weaknesses. And suddenly Elma remembers something else. He hasn't spent the skill points he gained from leveling up. When Elma destroyed the Rana swarm, he jumped several levels. Every new level gave him another point. So while the Ariandype prepares to attack, Elma opens his skill tree. And once again, he puts those points into the Heavy Knight's unique path. This unlocks a skill that changes the entire fight. Disarm. The name sounds simple, but the effect is incredibly useful. Every time Elma successfully strikes his opponent with the skill, the enemy temporarily loses part of its attack power. And the effect can be applied more than once. That means Elma doesn't need to increase his own defense until he's stronger than the Ariandype. He can do the opposite. He can make the Ariandype weaker until its attacks are low enough for his defense to stop them. Now he has a plan. But knowing the plan and surviving long enough to execute it are two different things. The Ariandype moves first. His body suddenly launches forward with terrifying speed. Elma barely gets out of the way. The creature immediately attacks again. Elma dodges. Another claw passes beside his body. He avoids that one too. Aruz watches in disbelief. This doesn't look like the fighting style of a heavy knight. Elma is supposed to stand still and absorb damage. Instead, he's constantly moving. Because Elma knows his armor doesn't make him immortal. A good tank doesn't blindly accept every attack. He only blocks the attacks he's sure he can survive. And right now, almost nothing from the Ariandype is safe. So Elma studies it. Every movement, every pause, every time it shifts its weight before attacking. This is where his past life experience becomes even more valuable than his stats. Because the Ariandype may be twice his level, but Elma has fought creatures like this many times before. Eventually, the monster prepares one of its special attacks. Elma recognizes the opening. He He moves inside its range, lands his own strike, and activates Disarm. The Ariandype's attack power drops, but not enough. Elymas still can't safely rely on his counter. So instead of becoming greedy, he immediately retreats again. The monster becomes furious. It attacks harder. Its claws tear through the ground. Then it begins using poison. Elymas takes note of the mana cost. That's another advantage he has. Abilities in this world still consume resources almost exactly the way they did in the game. The Ariandype's poison costs more mana than its flaming attack. So every time it uses one ability, Elymas can estimate what it can still use afterward. To Aruz, this battle looks chaotic. To Elymas, it's becoming increasingly predictable. The monster rushes again. Elymas avoids its first strike, then another. He waits for the exact moment the creature overcommits, and hits it with Disarm a second time. Now the Ariandype has lost a huge amount of offensive power, and Elymas has something else working in his favor. The special title he earned after defeating the Rana has already improved his defense. The difference between his defense and the monster's attack is shrinking fast. The Ariandype doesn't understand what is happening. A few minutes ago, its attacks were overwhelmingly powerful. Now every successful strike from Elymas makes it weaker. And this is exactly what everyone in this world fails to understand about complicated classes. They judge abilities individually. Elymas thinks about combinations, defense, titles, debuffs, enemy mana, attack patterns. Each mechanic alone isn't impressive. Together, they completely change the battle. Finally, Elymas reaches the condition he wanted. The Ariandype charges. This time, Elymas doesn't dodge. Aruz screams for him to move, but Elymas deliberately holds his position. The creature attacks. His weakened blow collides with Elymas' defense. And for the first time in this battle, the Ariandype cannot break through, which means Elymas' counter activates. The monster is blasted backward by the force of its own attack, and Elymas doesn't waste the opportunity. He rushes forward, drives his weapon into the weakened creature, and finally brings the Ariandype down. For several seconds, the forest becomes completely silent. Aruz is staring at Elymas like he's looking at something that shouldn't exist. A level 8 beginner just defeated a level 16 monster. Not through overwhelming power, not because of some hidden legendary weapon, but because he understood exactly how every part of the fight worked. And the reward is enormous. Elymas' level rapidly climbs again. He reaches around level 12 and receives even more skill points. The Ariandype also leaves behind a valuable magic stone. This is another huge step forward. Yesterday, Elymas was a noble heir with everything given to him. Today, he has no family, no title, and almost no money. But every monster he defeats is slowly replacing what he lost with something better. Strength that actually belongs to him. However, the victory came with a price. The Ariandype's poison is still inside his body. As soon as the battle ends and Elymas' concentration disappears, his condition begins getting worse. His body becomes heavy. His vision starts fading. And suddenly the person who just defeated the strongest monster in the area can barely remain standing. Aruz immediately rushes over. This time, he's the one saving Elymas. He helps him return to the city. And before leaving, Aruz makes it clear that he still considers Elymas someone incredible. Elymas may have refused his party invitation, but the two have already formed something close to a friendship. After reaching his room, Elymas finally collapses into bed. But sleeping doesn't completely free him from the past. He remembers his father's face, the disgust in his voice, malice taking his position, the threat never to use the Edvon family name again. Those memories still hurt. Knowing his father was wrong doesn't make the betrayal disappear. But when Elymas wakes the following day, he knows what to do next. If he's going to survive independently, he needs official work. And that means becoming an adventurer. So Elymas heads straight toward the Adventurers Guild in Rondom. The guild is filled with experienced fighters, beginners searching for work and parties gathering for missions. Elymas approaches the reception desk and gives the woman his information. His name is Elymas. He's level 12, and his class is Heavy Knight. The reaction around the room is immediate. People begin laughing. Some whisper that he got unlucky. Others openly wonder why someone with such a terrible class would even become an adventurer. The same judgment Elymas received from his father exists everywhere. To these people, Heavy Knight means low damage. Low damage means slow leveling. Slow leveling means useless. But Elymas doesn't bother arguing. He has already proven to himself that they're wrong. He completes the paperwork and officially becomes an F-rank adventurer. It's the lowest possible rank. But Elymas is still happy, because this gives him access to guild missions. Then he learns something that immediately changes his priorities. Adventurer rank doesn't only determine which quests someone can accept. There are also restrictions on progression. Certain dungeons require at least an E-rank adventurer to enter. And more importantly, Elymas' current guild rank limits how far he can develop parts of his Heavy Knight skill tree. That means staying F rank will directly slow down his build. Elymas immediately decides that his next objective is promotion to E rank. The receptionist also explains that finding a party might be difficult. Defensive classes aren't popular, especially not Heavy Knights. The adventurers nearby laugh again. Then Elymas quietly asks the receptionist to exchange some monster materials. He opens his magic bag and starts taking out stones. One, then another, then another. The laughter slowly stops, because Elymas doesn't have the amount expected from a beginner. He has an entire collection, including the stone from the Ariandype. The receptionist asks whether he really collected all of this himself. Elymas confirms that he did. Now everyone is watching him. The supposedly useless Heavy Knight, who only registered today, has brought back the kind of loot that shouldn't belong to someone at his level. Some people immediately assume he's cheating. Others think he must be lying about how he obtained the stones. Elymas doesn't care. He gets paid. And that money solves his first major problem. He can survive without his family. He can buy supplies. He can continue hunting. Then Elymas asks the question that really matters. Is there any mission that could help him reach E rank quickly? Normally, promotion would require time. A beginner needs to establish a record, complete quests, build trust. But the receptionist tells him about a rare opportunity. A large-scale mission, a raid quest. A group of adventurers is being assembled to deal with a large undead outbreak near the city. And an experienced adventurer with promotion authority will be supervising the mission. If Elymas performs well, he could become E rank much sooner than normal. That's exactly what he needs. So Elymas accepts. On the day of the raid, 10 adventurers gather and head toward the mission area. Most of them are F rank or E rank. But one man immediately stands out. A huge, experienced D rank adventurer named Gautan. And unfortunately, Gautan has already heard about Elymas. Specifically, the ridiculous story of a level 12 Heavy Knight who supposedly defeated an Ariandype alone. Gautan doesn't believe a word of it. In his eyes, Elymas is exactly the kind of reckless beginner who lies about his achievements, underestimates monsters, and eventually gets people killed. So before the raid even begins, the man announces that he intends to teach Elymas what being a real adventurer actually means. And Elymas realizes that earning his promotion is going to be much harder than he expected. Because this time, defeating the monsters might not be enough. He also has to convince a man who already thinks he's a fraud. And that's how episode 2 ends.